Hi everyone, Tammy here. Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to attempt to show you how I make a super easy elastic waist skirt for a smart doll. So this is the prototype that I made. It turned out really well. If you saw a video I did recently, I talked about making a skirt and to go with this particular little sweater. I bought this sweater from Elite Doll World on Etsy, and then I'm looking at these various fabrics here. And all of them look great with this little blue sweater. So this is not necessarily a how-to tutorial where you can follow every single step, but I'm going to do my best to show you how I do it and show you my making process. The supplies I used to make this little skirt, and it is a bit of a mini skirt. It comes quite a bit above her knee. Again, I'll show you pictures of her modeling her finished skirt here at the end. So I use quilting cotton. The piece of fabric I'm using is 21 inches long by 6 inches wide. I'm using 1/4 inch elastic that is 7.5 inches long. Of course, I have regular sewing notions, coordinating thread, all the basics you need, sewing machine. Also, for sure, you want to have a couple of safety pins. I use 2 on these to help me get the elastic through the casing that I'm going to stitch up. And I also recommend having your ironing board out and your iron ready. It does help with the process. It's not 100% necessary, but when I am sewing, I usually have my iron out and I use it to sort of help me press seams and that sort of thing. And it's something I think helps with the finished product. So first I've cut out, I'm going to use this fabric here. I think it's easier to see on camera. And I have cut out my piece of fabric here. This is cotton fabric. It's quilting fabric. I really like working with cotton quilting fabric. It's a very nice, thick quality, high thread count. This particular rectangle I cut out is 21 inches long by 6 inches wide. I'm going to put it on my machine and do a zigzag stitch all the way around 4 sides. And I will be back to show you my next step after that. I have done a zigzag stitch around all the sides of this rectangle, and I just ironed it. I flipped it over about 1/2 inch. You can use a little ruler like this to help you with that. And you just to make sure that basically your folds are all the same. This is where the iron comes in. I like to press it a little bit. So basically this is the hem at this point. I'm just going to put a couple of pins in here. Because I've pressed it, I don't need tons of pins. I'm just going to put a few. You could even put clips on here if you'd rather use clips. And I'm going to put it on my machine, and I'm just going to stitch right past here. So I will hem it up. Right, I've hemmed it. The next thing we're going to do, or I'm going to do, I'm just going to fold it over in right sides together and stitch up both sides. I'm going to add a few pins here. Just need a couple. Then I'm going to go back to my sewing machine, and using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to just stitch from the bottom to the top, and you'll have a tube at this point. So I stitch up the sides, and now I'm going to press this open with my iron. In fact, I'm going to spritz it a little bit. And at this point, I'm going to pin the casing before I do the rest of the stitching. So the casing is where the elastic's going to go. I'll just flip it over here. So my elastic is 1/4 inch wide. So you want to make sure whatever elastic you use, if you use thicker elastic, you'll need to make the casing wider. But this casing is, if I flipped it over, it should be about 1/2 inch. A little over 1/2 inch. Yeah, there we go, 1/2 inch. So I'm going to press this a teensy bit. Now I want to make sure that I leave an opening for the elastic to be inserted later. So what I usually do is I'll do something like, because sometimes I'll just be stitching away and going crazy. So this is kind of a way for me to go, yo girl, stop there. But I'll start my stitching here. Oh, that looks bigger than 1/2 inch, girl. Hold on here. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going for perfection here. I'm going for pretty decent. My straight pins have glass heads on them because just in case I get crazy with the iron, I have melted many a pin head before, let us say. All right, so I'm just going to stitch right here along the edge, leaving a little opening there, and just stitch all the way around as close to the edge as possible, so that I have plenty of room to insert my elastic next. All right, I stitched up the casing, and now I'm ready to insert my elastic. And there are some tools you can get for this, but I just use the old-fashioned safety pin. So I'm going to put a safety pin on one end, start inserting it through. And this is a pretty large circumference. It's quite a billowy skirt. So what I do is I start feeding it through. I double check. Now when I get to about this point, I take a safety pin and anchor the end of my elastic so I don't get it sucked up into there. And you want to try, of course, to make sure that you're not twisting the elastic. Though one of the nice things about sewing for dolls is they don't tell you if the elastic feels uncomfortable to them. You don't get any lip from the dollies. Hold on to that. Pull that through there. Right, now I'm going to go back to my sewing machine and I'm going to stitch back and forth, back and forth, back and forth a few times and trim off the edge. I'll be right back. All right, I've stitched back and forth, back and forth. I'll take some scissors, trim off the excess, feed it around here. Now I'm going to go back onto my sewing machine and stitch from here to here and close it up. We're almost done. All right, I stitched that up. Now trim off. Need to trim off the threads. So many threads. Again, sort of arrange the elastic And voila, you have a super cute little skirt. You can see it with the little sweater. And of course, I will have pictures at the end showing my doll wearing this. Yeah, this is a really great and simple technique, sewing technique, and just by adjusting the amount of fabric and elastic you use, you can use this technique to make doll dress skirts for really any size doll. I've made them as tiny as Blythe doll skirts and 18-inch dolls, 14-inch dolls, and now I'm making them for my Smart doll. So let me know what you think. Please add your comments below and give me a thumbs up, of course. If you have any sewing questions or any questions of something I didn't cover or it's not super duper clear, like I said, this is probably not really a tutorial. It's more of how I do this process. And if you have any sewing expertise at all, or even some sewing basics, more than likely you could use my ideas and come up with your own method for doing this. Have a wonderful dolly day. I always appreciate a thumbs up and a subscription. Bye-bye.